Hi, welcome to my channel Takniki Gyan Guru. Today we will learn what is Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps is a set of development tool and services as part of Azure Cloud. Azure DevOps include a range of services that covers areas such as version control, build automation, release management, testing, and collaboration. So how we can describe this? Let's move to the next and see how we can describe this. What is Azure? Azure is a CI/CD tool where we can build our application, deploy our application. We can pull our code from the code repository, and Azure Board provide a customizable platform for managing work item, allowing team to collaborate effectively and streamline their workflow. So let's say we have the Azure repo. In the Azure repo, we can store, um, all the application version control. Basically, we can create a version of a code, right? So if we have the Java, .NET, or Python, Django, any kind of application, we can store it. We can do the version control. Means we can create the branches. We can have the pull request. We can check in, check out, commit, all those code repository kind of thing we can do in the Azure repo, right? So we can store, suppose the any kind of application as discussed, Java, Django, and other things. So once we have ready with the Azure repo, the developer has created their code into the code editor and push their code into the code repository. Maybe the .NET engineer or .NET developer will work on the .NET application. The Java developer will work on the Java application, and they will do their branching and pushing code, commit their code. Once it is done, the repository is ready for the application. Then the Azure pipeline will have the build pipeline, right? One is the Azure repo where we can store our applications and do the version controls, create the branches, pull requests we can do. So all these things can we do. Then the build pipeline will, you know, have the build process, right? Once the application is there, it will collect the application and build the application. It will do the unit testing where if it is in .NET, and unit test cases will be run. If Java, we can integrate the JUnit or different unit testing for different application we can run here or integrate here. Also we can integrate the vulnerability testing, security testing, like if we have the sonar cube where we check the vulnerabilities. So for security we have the Vera code or check marks to check the security issues in the code, right? So those testing will be done. If anything wrong or anything is wrong here, then the build pipeline will be failed, else it will create an artifact. Once the build is done, the artifact will be created. The artifact is deployable code or deployable artifact that will be deployed to the environment, right? So once it is done, then this this pipeline is created, right? But it is not triggered. We can directly manually triggered. But if we have the continuous integration, then if somebody or some engineer is checking their code or committing their code, it will automatically pick the code and start building the code. Here you can see it will start the process from building code, unit testing, vulnerability and security testing, and then code artifact. So this all thing will be done if we have the continuous integration and the build trigger automatically. It will automatically pick and then do these processes, right? So once the build pipeline is done, that is called continuous integration. This whole part is basically continuous integration. So we have the build pipeline, and then we need to create a release pipeline where we can download the artifact from the build pipeline, or we can pull the artifact from the build pipeline, or not the build pipeline. We can say we have the artifactory where we store all the artifacts into the artifactory. It also has the version control or the artifact. Whenever you are build pipeline is creating another artifact will be created using different version number and then push into the artifact. And this release pipeline will pick up the latest version of the artifact from the artifactory. And then if there are any requirement to take the backup of some of the services or the application or something, then it will take the backup and store somewhere in the cloud. And then if any requirement for start or stop some of these services before deploying our application, that can also be integrated in the CD pipeline. And then we can deploy our application directly to the dev environment. And these are the process will be up to downside, right? So here also build pipeline up to downside, build the application, unit testing, vulnerability testing, and code artifact. This will be CI pipeline and CI pipeline. And in the CD pipeline or release pipeline, we download from the artifactory, then we'll take some backups or something, and then we'll start stop services and the deploy. The start stop service, we can have many more steps also here, some configuration changes or something, or some take backup or something we need to configure, that can be done here also in the release pipeline. And then we'll deploy the application to the dev environment. Before that, we also have in Azure DevOps, we also have the Azure test plan, where we can manual or automatically test our code over here. Also the functional testing can be done, right? So the test plan will automate or manually, like UAT testing can be done through the test plan. And then we will deploy our application to the dev environment and then push into the QA environment, or we can say we promote our application to the QA environment, for UAT environment, and then prod environment. And in between this, we can also execute or integrate some workflow, where if until the QA, it will move one environment to another environment. But after QA, it should have some workflow, like if the deployment is initiated, then some email will be go to some team like the QA team or some responsible UAT team. They will see everything is fine, whatever is written into the in the deployment file. They will check and test everything will done, then they will approve the if the deployment can be moved to the UAT or prod. And that can be done. If they approve, then automatically move to the UAT and prod. If they cancel or reject, then the whole pipeline will be cancelled, right? So this way we can have the code repository, CI pipeline, CD pipeline, Azure test plan, and the promoting our application with approval workflow. And Azure Board is a web-based service that enables team to plan, track, and discuss work across the entire development process while it supports agile methodologies. So this way the Azure DevOps works. So this will end to our video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you really like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and don't hesitate to comment if you want, or if you have some question or queries. Thank you and bye.